There's a black girl in the store acting suspicious, the white store manager hissed into her phone. She's definitely here to steal something. I need officers dispatched immediately. Her eyes stayed locked on the young girl standing a few feet away, Madison Taylor. Madison, just 14 years old, stood motionless, her hands tightly wrapped around the purse containing the money she'd saved for months. She wasn't stealing. She wasn't causing trouble. She had simply come into the boutique to buy a special birthday dress for her mom. But the woman before her was spinning a lie bold, unflinching, and laced with prejudice right in front of her face. Then, without warning, a loud blaring alarm erupted through the shopping center. Red emergency lights strobed across the boutique's polished floors. Shoppers began shouting, grabbing their children and bags, and rushing toward the exits. In the middle of the commotion, Madison remained rooted to the floor, her heart racing. Through the chaos, sirens began wailing from outside, growing louder with every second. But here's what Karen Stevens, the boutique manager, didn't know. She believed she was dealing with just another young black girl she could intimidate, accuse, and humiliate. But she had no idea who Madison Taylor truly was or who her mother happened to be. Before we dive deeper, if you believe in standing up to injustice and racial profiling, don't forget to subscribe, and drop a yes in the comments along with your country. We'll make sure to send you back a heartwarming message. Madison Taylor had been raised by her single mother, Michelle, a woman who built her life around hard work, dignity, and raising her daughter with integrity. Michelle had always taught Madison to be kind, to walk tall, and to never let others define her worth. Michelle's 40th birthday was coming up, and Madison had been planning for months. She wanted to give her mother a gift that showed just how much she appreciated the sacrifices, the love, and the endless hours of work her mom put in for them both. She'd saved $450 from babysitting, doing chores, and skipping weekend treats. It wasn't pocket change for Madison, it was a treasure. And she had her heart set on buying her mom a birthday dress, one that would make her feel beautiful and cherished. After weeks of browsing online catalogs and watching reviews, she found the perfect boutique, Bella's. It was upscale, classy, and known for its elegant dresses. It was the kind of place her mother would never splurge on for herself. And so, on a sunny Saturday morning, Madison stepped into Bella's boutique by herself for the very first time, clutching her purse and her dream. What Karen Stevens didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that Madison's mother, Michelle Taylor, wasn't just any mom. She was the founder and CEO of Prestige Fashion Group, a multi-million-dollar fashion empire. Bella's boutique, it belonged to Michelle. Karen Stevens had unknowingly reported the daughter of the company's owner to the police, accusing her of theft and threatening her with arrest. Karen, 45, had managed Bella's boutique for 6 years. She viewed herself not as an employee, but as the gatekeeper of luxury. She prided herself on maintaining the store's image, and often used that excuse to quietly push out anyone who didn't look the part. Her actions were never overtly racist, but always calculated, hiding behind smiles and company policy whenever she needed to justify her decisions. When Madison walked through the boutique doors, Karen's eyes narrowed instantly. To her, a young black teenager entering the store alone was a red flag. Dresses here started at $300. How could a kid like that possibly afford anything? Just minutes before, a white mother and her teen daughter had walked in. Karen had greeted them with a beaming smile. "Welcome to Bella's, ladies. Looking for something fabulous today?" she had asked, her tone warm and full of charm. She offered them lemon-infused water, guided them through the latest arrivals, and complimented the daughter's hair and earrings. She made them feel like royalty. But when Madison approached the counter moments later with a polite, "Excuse me," hoping to ask for help, Karen didn't even lift her head. No smile. No welcome. No eye contact. Just silence as she shuffled papers and pretended not to notice. Madison's heart sank. She rehearsed this moment in her mind all week, walk in confidently, ask for help, choose the dress, pay with the money she worked so hard to save. Instead, she was met with indifference and suspicion, her presence questioned before she even spoke. The boutique that was supposed to be part of a joyful surprise for her mother had turned into a place of judgment and fear. And this was only the beginning. Madison waited patiently for a full 30 seconds, standing quietly, hands folded in front of her, just like the respectful young girl her mother raised, before she finally spoke up. "Excuse me, ma'am," she said gently, "I'm looking for a dress for my mother's birthday." Karen finally glanced up, her face carved with indifference. The look she gave Madison could only be described as cold and dismissive. "Dresses are over there," she said flatly, waving a hand vaguely toward the back of the boutique. She didn't bother to meet Madison's eyes. No friendly greeting. No offer of help. No follow-up questions about what kind of dress she was looking for. Just pure apathy wrapped in thinly disguised contempt. Madison felt it immediately, a chill in the air that wasn't coming from the boutique's AC. Still, she'd been taught to assume the best in people. Maybe the woman was tired. Maybe she was having a rough day. So Madison gave her the benefit of the doubt. With a polite smile, she said, "Thank you," and walked toward the dress section, her chin up, determined not to let a stranger's rudeness ruin this special errand. Across the boutique, Ashley, one of the sales associates, observed the entire interaction. A familiar weight settled in her gut, the one she felt every time Karen treated certain customers differently. She'd seen it too many times, Karen rolling out the red carpet for some shoppers, while others, especially those who looked like Madison, were ignored or treated with suspicion. Ashley wanted to intervene. She wanted to go over to Madison and offer her help, to show her the kindness she clearly deserved. But fear held her back. Karen had made it painfully clear that any employee who challenged her decisions or stepped out of line risked losing their job. Meanwhile, Madison began browsing through the dresses. And let me tell you, this young girl moved through the boutique with more respect and care than many adult shoppers. She gently touched the fabric of each dress, feeling the texture between her fingers. She read price tags carefully. She handled each garment like it was delicate and priceless. She wasn't just browsing. She was on a mission to find something elegant, something that would make her mother feel seen, loved, and beautiful. But Karen wasn't seeing that. To her, Madison wasn't a thoughtful daughter or a paying customer. She was a problem. A risk. A presence to be monitored. Karen began shadowing Madison from a distance, hovering 10 feet away, pretending to straighten racks, but really watching her every move like a store detective on high alert. When Madison picked up a stunning blue dress to read the price, Karen swooped in almost instantly. "Be careful with that," she barked, her voice sharp. "These dresses are expensive. They're not toys." Startled, Madison turned to her. "Yes, ma'am. I understand. I was just checking the price." Karen raised a brow, her tone turning even more condescending. "Well, these start at 300, she said slowly, emphasizing the number like it was a warning. "And honestly, I doubt you can afford anything in here." Madison, taught by her mother to always respond with grace, didn't flinch. "Thank you for letting me know," she said calmly. I've been saving up for this. Karen blinked, momentarily caught off guard by Madison's composure. But instead of apologizing or softening her tone, she turned on her heel and walked off, muttering something under her breath that Madison couldn't make out. Over the next 20 minutes, the same pattern continued. Each time Madison lifted a dress or showed interest in something, Karen reappeared with another snide remark, "Do you realize how much that costs? These need to be handled with extreme care. That's not something we usually let children try on." All the while, another shopper, Emma Wilson, a 16-year-old white girl, was observing everything. Emma had come in with her mom's credit card to find a homecoming dress. Karen had greeted her like royalty, helping her select sizes, recommending shoes and jewelry, even offering to hold her picks while she browsed more. The double standard couldn't have been clearer. But Madison kept her head high. She didn't let the coldness break her spirit. She kept browsing. Kept searching. Because she had one goal: to find the perfect birthday gift for the most important person in her world. And then she saw it. Tucked near the back of the boutique was a breathtaking emerald green gown. It had intricate beading along the neckline, a flattering silhouette, and an elegance that immediately reminded Madison of her mother. Regal. Strong. Timeless. She reached for it carefully and checked the tag. $400 perfect. She had saved $450, enough to cover the dress, tax, and maybe even a decorative gift box. With the dress draped carefully over her arm, Madison walked toward the register. Karen was still helping Emma pick out accessories, laughing and chatting like they were old friends. Madison waited her turn, patient and respectful. Once Emma finished and stepped aside, Madison stepped forward and said politely, "Excuse me. I'd like to try this dress on, please." Karen turned to her, took one look at the gown in Madison's arms, then looked her up and down with a hardened stare. "That dress is $400, she said slowly, as if speaking to someone who couldn't grasp numbers. "I don't think it's for you," Madison said softly. Her heart sank, but she had anticipated this exact moment. With calm determination, she reached into her purse and pulled out a stack of neatly arranged bills. $450 carefully saved, counted, and recounted over the past several months. "I have the money," she said gently, placing the cash on the counter. "I've been saving for months to buy my mom a birthday dress." For just a fraction of a second, Karen's face betrayed her. Shock flickered in her eyes. She hadn't expected this girl to actually have the money. But that surprise quickly soured, replaced by something far uglier: suspicion and simmering rage. "Where did you get this money?" Karen snapped, glaring at the cash like it was evidence of a crime. Madison blinked, confused. "From my allowance. I saved it," she replied honestly. But Karen wasn't listening, because she didn't want to believe. In her twisted mind, there was no way this young black teenager could legitimately possess that kind of money. Her prejudice blinded her to the obvious truth. "I don't buy it," she said coldly. "No kid your age just happens to have over $400 unless something shady's going on." Madison's eyes welled with tears, but she stayed composed. She tried one last time. "Ma'am, I promise it's my money. I even have the bank envelope it came in. I can call my mother if you need someone to confirm." "No," Karen snapped, cutting her off mid-sentence. "I don't want to hear any stories. Put the dress back and get out of my store." And in that crushing moment, it all clicked for Madison. This had nothing to do with store policy. It had nothing to do with the money. From the moment she stepped through those boutique doors, Karen had made up her mind, Madison didn't belong. It wasn't about theft. It was about the color of her skin. But Madison was her mother's daughter. And her mother hadn't raised her to back down in the face of injustice. So she stood tall, wiped the tear off her cheek, and said quietly, "I'd like to speak to your manager." Karen let out a sharp, mocking laugh. "I am the manager, sweetheart. And I'm telling you to leave." That's when things took a darker turn. Still trying to remain respectful, Madison replied, "Then I'd like to speak to the district manager. Or the owner of the store." Karen's face flushed red with fury. How dare this child question her? How dare she not just slink away in shame like Karen had expected? "You're not speaking to anyone," Karen growled. "In fact, I think you came here to cause trouble. I think you came here to steal. I think you're hiding items right now." Madison's mouth dropped open. "What? I'm not hiding anything. You can search my purse, I promise." Karen's voice rose louder and more aggressive. "I saw you put something in your jacket pocket. I've been watching you this whole time, and you've been acting suspicious since the moment you walked in." The store went deathly quiet. Every shopper turned to look. Ashley Rodriguez, watching from behind the jewelry counter, felt her stomach twist. Emma Wilson, still nearby, pulled out her phone and began recording. She couldn't believe what she was witnessing. Madison, now trembling, tears spilling freely, tried to defend herself. "Please. I didn't take anything. Just let me call my mom." But Karen had flipped a switch. She was no longer interested in facts or truth. She was on a power trip, drunk on her own false authority. "No phone calls," she barked. "You're a shoplifter. And I'm calling the police." And with that, she picked up the store phone, eyes blazing with hatred, and dialed 911, never breaking eye contact with Madison. "Yes, this is Karen Stevens, manager at Bella's Boutique on 5th Street, she said into the receiver, her voice smooth and falsely professional. "I have a young black female here attempting to steal merchandise. She's been concealing items and became aggressive when I confronted her. I need officers dispatched immediately." Madison, frozen in disbelief, pulled out her phone to call her mother. "Put that away!" Karen shrieked, causing everyone in the store to jump. "No phone calls. Sit down and wait for the police to arrive." And Madison did just that, her body shaking, her dreams shattered, and her heart breaking while across town, the woman who could end all of this chaos was completely unaware of what was happening. Underscore 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 on. 23 miles away, Michelle Taylor was seated at the head of a sleek glass conference table, deep in the heart of the headquarters of Prestige Fashion Group. The boardroom buzzed with energy. Executives, investors, and senior managers gathered for the company's most important quarterly meeting of the year. A $50 million expansion plan was on the table. Hundreds of new jobs across 3 states were being proposed. Michelle, dressed in a tailored charcoal gray power suit and modest diamond earrings, exuded poise and command. She had built this company from the ground up, starting with handmade designs in her apartment and rising to become one of the top names in high-end fashion. Sitting directly across from her was Richard Blackstone, the firm's largest investor. Sharp, wealthy, and calculating, Richard had always admired Michelle's ability to remain calm and confident in any storm. What neither of them knew was that the storm wasn't in the boardroom. It was brewing in one of Michelle's own stores where her daughter was being falsely accused, humiliated, and criminalized by an employee who had no idea who she was dealing with. Richard Blackstone had made no secret of his doubts. He didn't believe a black woman could successfully lead a fashion empire not on her own terms. For months, he quietly scrutinized every move Michelle made, dissecting her leadership, searching for a flaw he could exploit, anything to justify pushing her out of the very company she built. As you'll notice from this chart, Michelle was saying, gesturing toward the large digital display behind her, we exceeded third-quarter profit expectations by 18%. Customer satisfaction is also the highest it's been since our launch across every retail location nationwide. Richard leaned forward, wearing that smug, patronizing smile Michelle had come to recognize all too well. That's commendable, Michelle. Truly. But I'm growing concerned about your leadership approach. Some of our store managers have raised concerns about your, let's call them progressive policies on customer engagement and store conduct. Michelle's jaw tightened ever so slightly. Still, she kept her expression composed and professional. Could you elaborate, Richard? She asked calmly, her voice steady. A tense silence filled the boardroom. Everyone knew exactly what Richard was doing, setting a trap. Trying to provoke her into reacting emotionally so he could later paint her as unstable or overly sensitive. Michelle opened her mouth to deliver a poised but firm rebuttal, one that would shut him down cleanly when a knock came at the boardroom door. It was Patricia Martinez, Michelle's longtime assistant of 8 years. Patricia never interrupted meetings unless something truly catastrophic had happened. Michelle's blood went cold at the look on Patricia's face. Patricia whispered something to the security guard at the door, who then stepped inside and spoke softly to Michelle. "Ma'am, it's urgent. An emergency call regarding your daughter." Michelle snatched her phone from the table. It had been silenced, face down per company policy, and her stomach flipped when she saw the screen. 17 missed calls. 12 text messages. The most recent text made her heart nearly stop beating. "Mommy, please help me. They're arresting me and I didn't do anything. I'm at Bella's boutique. Please come." Everything changed in that instant. The calm, composed CEO disappeared. In her place stood a mother whose child was in danger. Michelle bolted to her feet so quickly that her chair nearly tipped backward. Her expression, once controlled and businesslike, had hardened into something fierce, something primal. "This meeting is over," she declared, her voice slicing through the boardroom like glass. "Family emergency." Richard pounced. "Michelle, you can't just walk out during the most critical meeting of the quarter. This kind of impulsive behavior is exactly..." Michelle whirled around, her glare sharp enough to cut steel. "Richard, my 14-year-old daughter is being taken into custody by the police. If you believe your investment matters more to me than her safety, feel free to raise it with the board." She paused, then added coldly, "Oh wait, that board answers to me." She grabbed her purse and keys with trembling hands already buzzing from the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Patricia, clear my schedule. Get David Chen on the line right now. And call Dr. Sarah Williams. I want Madison's therapist ready in case the situation causes trauma." The room remained frozen, silent, watching as Michelle Taylor, the woman known for never losing control, stormed toward the exit. Richard was already pulling out his phone, likely preparing to spin her sudden departure into a tale of unprofessionalism for other investors. Michelle's heels echoed through the marble lobby like a drumbeat of fury and purpose. She pressed speed dial. Madison's number. Straight to voicemail. She tried again. Still nothing. Her hands trembled as she hit the elevator button. Her mind was racing. What had happened? What could possibly justify arresting her daughter? By the time she reached the underground parking garage, Michelle was already calling her lawyer. "David, it's Michelle. Madison's been arrested at Bella's boutique. I don't know what happened, but I need you there immediately." Arrested? What? That's insane. David Chen had known Madison since she was in diapers. The idea of her being in any sort of legal trouble was unthinkable. There's no way. What are they even accusing her of? "I don't know yet," Michelle replied, already tearing out of the garage in her sleek black Mercedes-AMG. "But I'm going to find out, and someone is going to answer for this." Merging into downtown traffic, her hands gripping the wheel tightly, Michelle placed one more call. "Chief Morrison, it's Michelle Taylor. My daughter has just been arrested at one of my stores. I need answers now." Chief Morrison had served as the city's police chief for 8 years, and throughout that time, Michelle Taylor had been one of the department's most generous and active supporters. She donated hundreds of thousands of dollars to fund community policing programs, helped finance new equipment, and even launched a scholarship fund for the children of officers. So when he answered her call and heard the panic in her voice, he was immediately on alert. "Michelle, what are you talking about?" he asked, clearly perplexed. "Let me see what's going on," he added, already typing into his dispatch system. Michelle could hear the rapid clicking of his keyboard on the other end. "Okay. I'm seeing a shoplifting report at Bella's boutique on 5th Street, he said after a moment. "Looks like Officer Johnson responded." Michelle's voice was tight with emotion. "Chief, are you sure this is about my daughter? Madison texted me from police custody. She's 14. She's never even been in trouble at school. No detentions. Nothing. And now someone's put her in handcuffs for shopping." Her voice cracked with fury and disbelief. "Find out exactly what happened," she said. "And fix it immediately." While Chief Morrison scrambled to get answers, word of the incident was already starting to ripple through Michelle's professional and personal networks. Patricia had called Dr. Sarah Williams, the family therapist who had counseled Michelle and Madison during their difficult divorce years earlier. "Patricia, what happened?" Dr. Williams asked, already grabbing her coat and keys. "We don't have the full picture yet," Patricia explained. "But Madison was arrested for supposed shoplifting. Mrs. Taylor she's beside herself. I've never seen her like this." Dr. Williams' stomach turned. She had worked with Michelle for over 6 years. She'd seen her remain calm through business betrayals, public scrutiny, even threats to her safety. If Michelle was unraveling, then whatever had happened was serious, far more serious than it sounded. Back at Bella's boutique, the scene was quickly spiraling into chaos. Social media had picked up the story of a black teenage girl being arrested at an upscale fashion store. A crowd was beginning to form just outside. Some bystanders were recording the scene on their phones. Others were asking what had happened, their voices growing louder. Inside, Ashley Rodriguez was falling apart. She had witnessed Karen Stevens destroy a child's sense of safety and dignity, and she had stood by, frozen in fear. She couldn't stop thinking about her own daughter, Isabella, just 9 years old, and how she would feel if someone treated her baby the way Madison had been treated. Ashley's hands trembled as she dialed her husband. "Miguel, something awful happened at work today," she said, her voice shaking. "I didn't do anything. I should have stopped it. I should have said something." Miguel Rodriguez, a veteran social worker of 15 years, had seen firsthand the long-term damage racial profiling could inflict on children, the emotional scars that sometimes lasted a lifetime. "Ashley, where's the girl now?" he asked, voice urgent. "She's in a police car outside. Her mom's on the way, but Miguel, what if they take her to jail? What if this ruins everything for her? She's just a kid." Outside the boutique, Officer Johnson was growing increasingly uneasy. Something about this situation didn't sit right. Madison Taylor didn't fit the profile of any shoplifter he had ever encountered. She was respectful, well-spoken, and genuinely seemed confused about why she was in trouble. And Karen's version of events didn't quite add up. He knelt beside the squad car and addressed Madison gently. "Miss Taylor, can you tell me what happened in your own words?" Madison wiped away her tears, trying to collect herself. Her voice was quiet but clear. "I came in to buy a dress for my mom's birthday. I've been saving up for months. But the woman working there was mean to me from the start. She followed me around, kept making comments about how expensive everything was." "Did you take anything from the store?" Officer Johnson asked softly. "No, sir. I swear I didn't. I was just looking. I even told her she could check my purse if she wanted to." Johnson felt a pit forming in his stomach. He responded, thinking this was a straightforward case of attempted theft, but now it was becoming clear this wasn't theft. This was a misunderstanding, possibly driven by bias, that had escalated far too quickly. Just then, his radio buzzed. "Unit 47, this is Chief Morrison. I need you to contact me immediately regarding the juvenile in custody." Johnson's breath caught. The chief never involved himself in routine arrests, especially not something as minor as alleged shoplifting. Something was seriously wrong. He stepped away from the vehicle, pulled out his phone, and called the chief. "This is Johnson. You wanted me to call about the shoplifting case." Chief Morrison didn't waste a second. "Johnson, what in God's name is going on over there?" "Michelle Taylor just called me saying her daughter was arrested while trying to shop." "Michelle Taylor?" Johnson repeated, stunned. "Wait, the Michelle Taylor? She's the CEO of Prestige Fashion Group. A major supporter of our department. A close friend of the mayor." Chief Morrison's voice was sharp and urgent over the phone. "Johnson, tell me you didn't place this woman's daughter under arrest without solid, irrefutable proof of a crime." Officer Johnson suddenly felt as if the ground beneath him had vanished. "Chief, the store manager claimed she witnessed the girl shoplifting. She sounded credible. I thought." "You thought?" Morrison cut him off. "Michelle Taylor is one of the most powerful figures in the city. If we just falsely arrested her daughter, it's not just going to be a PR nightmare, it's a lawsuit, a political scandal, and the end of your career. What actual evidence do you have?" Johnson swallowed hard. "Sir, the manager said she saw the girl concealing merchandise, but the girl denies everything. Honestly, she seemed confused. She was polite and cooperative the whole time." A long silence. Then Morrison barked, "Did you recover any stolen items, anything at all?" "No, sir. We haven't searched her yet. I was waiting on a female officer to arrive." "Then don't search her. Don't touch her. Don't say another word to her. And for the love of God, Johnson, you better hope this is all one giant misunderstanding. I'm on my way. Start praying this doesn't end your career." The line went dead. Officer Johnson stood there in stunned silence, his stomach twisted in knots. He turned to look at the patrol car, at Madison Taylor, 14 years old, sitting quietly in the back seat, her face etched with fear and confusion. Just a child. And it suddenly hit him, he may have made the gravest mistake of his entire career. Underscore 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 on. Meanwhile, across the city, Michelle's black Mercedes-AMG sliced through traffic like a missile. Her mind was racing as fast as her wheels. She'd already placed a call to her brother Marcus Taylor, a respected federal judge, and his wife Denise, a senior attorney with the NAACP. "Marcus," she said, her voice trembling with fury, "they arrested Madison. Some racist manager had my baby handcuffed for shopping." Judge Marcus Taylor had spent his life inside the justice system. He'd seen its flaws. But the idea of his own niece being treated like a criminal for simply shopping sent a white-hot anger through him. "Michelle, I'm heading there now. Don't escalate things, let me take the legal lead. I'll handle this." Michelle's next call was to her best friend and business partner, Dr. Angela Thompson, who ran a successful network of medical clinics. "Angela, I need you at Bella's boutique ASAP. If Madison's been traumatized, I want her examined immediately." Angela didn't hesitate. "I'm already in the car." Angela had been Michelle's rock since college and had loved Madison like her own niece from the day she was born. Michelle tried to stay composed, but she was unraveling. She was a woman who had clawed her way out of poverty, who had faced down racism and sexism in boardrooms and investors' meetings. She had built an empire as a single mother, brick by brick. And now, for the first time in her adult life, she felt helpless. The image of her daughter sitting alone in the back of a squad car, afraid, humiliated, was more than she could bear. As she raced through downtown, Michelle's phone buzzed non-stop. Calls, texts, notifications. The story was spreading. Everyone who knew Madison was in disbelief. This was a child who spent weekends volunteering at animal shelters, who tutored younger kids at her school. She was known for her compassion, her kindness. And now, she was being publicly treated like a criminal. Back at the boutique, Patricia called with updates. "Mrs. Taylor," she said, "I've been monitoring social media. Posts about Madison's arrest are spreading fast. People are furious. Some are already calling for a boycott of Bella's boutique." Michelle's voice was ice cold. "Let them boycott. After what they did to my daughter, I may shut that store down permanently." Underscore 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 on. Outside the boutique, the scene had become a full-blown media frenzy. A crowd was growing on the sidewalk. Reporters were arriving. Someone had tipped off the local news stations. Karen Stevens, the manager who had initiated the arrest, was starting to sweat. What she thought would be a routine incident was spiraling into a public relations disaster. Inside, Ashley Rodriguez had finally found the strength she needed. She stepped out of the store and approached one of the reporters, a young black journalist named Kesha Jackson from Channel 7 News. "Excuse me," Ashley said softly. "I work here. I saw everything. And that little girl, she didn't do anything wrong." Kesha's eyes lit up. "An eyewitness? An employee? This could change everything. Would you be willing to go on camera?" Kesha asked. Ashley thought of her daughter Isabella. Of the world she hoped she'd grow up in. She nodded. "Yes. People need to know the truth about what happened in there. Underscore 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 on. Just then, Dr. Sarah Williams arrived at the scene. Calm, focused, and visibly concerned, she approached the patrol car where Madison was still seated. She gently approached Officer Johnson and introduced herself. "Officer, I'm Dr. Sarah Williams. I'm a licensed family therapist. I've treated Madison Taylor for years. Her mother asked me to check on her immediately." Officer Johnson, already rattled and second-guessing his every decision, hesitated. "Ma'am, I'll need to verify your credentials." That's when the sound of screeching tires cut through the air. The sound of screeching tires sliced through the afternoon air like a siren announcing the arrival of reckoning. Michelle Taylor's black Mercedes-AMG came to a hard stop directly in front of Bella's boutique, its engine still humming with restrained power. The dramatic halt caused pedestrians to pause mid-step, heads turning in unison as if they instinctively sensed something monumental was about to happen. The driver's door flung open, and Michelle stepped out with the intensity of a thunderstorm about to break. Standing at 5'7" in her designer heels, she cut an unmistakable figure, regal, fierce, and absolutely unshakable. Her tailored power suit, crisp and expensive, radiated the authority of a woman who didn't just enter boardrooms, she commanded them. Her natural curls were pulled back in a sleek, elegant bun that spoke volumes about pride, heritage, and discipline. But it wasn't just her appearance that stunned the growing crowd. It was her presence, that unmistakable aura of someone who had built her empire brick by brick, who had fought battles in silence and won wars without headlines. Every step she took toward the patrol car was a warning in motion, her heels striking the pavement with the precision and inevitability of a ticking clock. Behind her, another car came to a stop. Out stepped her brother, Judge Marcus Taylor, flashing his federal identification before the door even closed. From the passenger side, Dr. Angela Thompson emerged, medical bag in hand, her face etched with concern and determination. Karen Stevens, still standing near the store entrance, began to feel the prickling sensation of dread creep up her spine. She didn't recognize Michelle, not yet. All she saw was a woman with too much confidence and too much presence. But the people around her were already beginning to understand. And the realization was spreading like electricity in the air before a lightning strike. Officer Johnson looked up from where he stood beside the patrol car, and the moment his eyes landed on Michelle, his stomach clenched. Something about the way she moved, like she owned not just the ground she walked on, but the very city around it, told him this was not just any angry parent. This was someone important. 10 feet away from the car now, Michelle's voice rang out, clear and razor sharp, "Stop. Take those handcuffs off my daughter. Right now." The command in her tone was so fierce, so unrelenting, that Officer Johnson instinctively took a step back. The crowd quieted. Time itself seemed to pause. Inside the car, Madison's head snapped up. Her eyes locked on her mother, and tears of relief instantly spilled down her cheeks. Dr. Sarah Williams moved swiftly to the car, gently opening the back door and kneeling beside Madison. "Sweetheart, it's okay. Your mom's here now. You're safe." But Karen Stevens, still oblivious to the force she had just unleashed, stepped forward with the same arrogant authority she'd been using all day. Her voice was tight, smug, and condescending. "Ma'am, your daughter is a thief. She attempted to steal from my store, and she's going to be held accountable for her actions." Michelle's eyes slowly turned to Karen, locked onto her with a focus so intense that the temperature around them seemed to drop. "Your store?" she asked, her voice low and deadly calm, far more dangerous than if she'd raised it. Judge Marcus Taylor moved forward, federal credentials visible and gleaming in the light. "I'm Judge Marcus Taylor. I'd like to hear precisely what evidence you have to support these accusations against this young lady." Karen lifted her chin, clearly missing the gravity of the moment. "I'm the store manager," she said confidently. "I decide who's welcome here and who isn't. This girl doesn't belong here. I caught her trying to steal." Michelle stepped closer, her eyes never leaving Karen's. "My daughter," she said slowly, letting every syllable burn in the air, "doesn't belong here." The words were venomous, now calm, yet laced with outrage. Sensing the situation spiraling out of control, Officer Johnson tried to reassert his authority. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to step back while we get this sorted out." Michelle didn't even flinch. She simply reached into her purse, pulled out her ID and a business card, and handed them to him with the kind of poise that only made the tension more unbearable. Johnson glanced down and his face lost all color. His hands trembled slightly as he read the name, Michelle Taylor. CEO, Prestige Fashion Group. He'd seen that name countless times on donation checks to the department, on press releases, on the invitation to the chief's annual fundraising gala. She was the Michelle Taylor. The woman behind one of the largest retail empires in the region. The woman whose influence stretched through every corridor of business, politics, and law enforcement. "Oh my God," he whispered under his breath, barely audible. Meanwhile, Dr. Angela Thompson had gently taken Madison's hand on the other side of the vehicle, speaking in a soothing tone as she began a quiet medical assessment. Madison looked overwhelmed but relieved, comforted by the presence of people who truly cared. "Madison, sweetheart, are you hurt? Did anyone lay a hand on you inappropriately?" Michelle's voice was controlled, measured, but laced with unmistakable steel as she addressed Officer Johnson, though her eyes never wavered from Karen Stevens' face. She held up her ID card and business card, her hand unwavering. "What you're holding, officer, is not just identification, it's a reminder. I am Michelle Taylor, CEO and owner of Prestige Fashion Group. Prestige owns Bella's boutique. That woman," she gestured sharply toward Karen, "works for me. And she just had my daughter arrested in my own store for shopping." The silence that followed could be shattered glass. The only sound was the hum of news cameras recording every word, every reaction. Karen's expression twisted, confidence melting into confusion, then raw panic as the magnitude of what she'd done began to register. Within seconds, her face drained of color, eyes darting for an escape route that didn't exist. Ashley Rodriguez, who had managed to press through the crowd, stepped closer. Her voice trembled, but her words were clear. "Mrs. Taylor," she said, "I'm Ashley Rodriguez. I work here. I witnessed the whole thing. Madison didn't do anything wrong. I recorded it on my phone." Karen gasped, breath stuttering in her throat. That's not possible," she stammered, but her voice wavered with panic. Michelle's gaze finally snapped to her fully, cold and cutting. "The company is mine, Karen," she said, her voice low but devastating. "Every store, every staff member, every guideline, every decision mine." She stepped forward, her tone sharpening like the edge of a blade. "And you, Karen Stevens, just made the most catastrophic mistake of your mediocre little life." Karen's knees wobbled. She stumbled slightly and grabbed a nearby car for balance as reality came crashing down like a demolished building. She had called the police on the daughter of the woman who owned everything she thought she controlled. She had humiliated and traumatized the child of the person who could erase her career with a phone call. Judge Marcus Taylor, cool and composed, was scribbling notes into a leather-bound notebook. "Officer Johnson," he said, voice calm but authoritative, "I want this to be perfectly clear. This child was taken into custody solely on the word of a store manager who has now been revealed to have a direct conflict of interest. Is that correct?" Johnson swallowed hard, sweat beading at his temple. "Your Honor," I responded to a reported shoplifting in progress. "The manager told me she saw the suspect conceal merchandise." "Did you locate any stolen items on the child?" Judge Marcus interrupted. "No, sir. We haven't searched her yet." "Did you review any video surveillance before proceeding with an arrest?" "The manager said the security system was malfunctioning." Dr. Sarah Williams looked up from her evaluation of Madison. "This child is experiencing elevated heart rate, persistent crying, and early signs of trauma," she said firmly. "She is displaying symptoms of acute psychological distress, possibly a panic attack. Holding a minor in handcuffs under these circumstances with no solid evidence could be construed as abuse." Michelle knelt beside her daughter, still cuffed in the back seat. "Baby, are you okay? Did anyone touch you?" Through choked tears, Madison nodded. "Mommy, I swear I didn't do anything wrong. I was just trying to buy you a birthday present with my own money." Michelle's heart broke into 1,000 shards and simultaneously forged itself anew into steel. She turned to Officer Johnson with fire in her eyes. "You have exactly 10 seconds to take those cuffs off my daughter," she said coldly, "before this becomes a federal civil rights violation." Officer Johnson's hands shook so violently that he fumbled the handcuff key, but he managed to unlock the restraints in record time. The instant the cuffs were off, Madison collapsed into her mother's arms, sobbing. Michelle held her daughter tightly, whispering words of comfort and protection as her glare turned to pure vengeance directed at Karen. Dr. Angela Thompson stepped in, examining Madison more closely. "Michelle, I need to take her to the hospital for a full workup. This level of emotional trauma could have lasting effects, psychological and physical." Meanwhile, Karen Stevens stood in a frozen daze, watching her world fall apart before her eyes. She had always thought of herself as the arbiter of class and order, the unofficial gatekeeper of Bella's boutique. But she just found out that she was nothing more than an employee, one who had deeply offended and publicly humiliated the boss's daughter. But Michelle wasn't done, not even close. Karen's breathing grew ragged. You could see the shock spreading through her limbs like frostbite. This wasn't just any mother defending her child. This was the owner of the entire empire. The person with the power to eliminate Karen's career with a sentence. Finally, Karen's survival instincts kicked in. She stammered forward, grasping at excuses like a drowning person clutches at driftwood. "Mrs. Taylor, I think there's been a serious misunderstanding. I was just enforcing standard store procedures. We have to be vigilant. Shoplifting is a major issue. I was protecting your investment." Judge Marcus stepped forward again, voice like a gavel striking wood. "Miss Stevens, are you telling me that you found this child suspicious enough to involve law enforcement based on what, exactly?" Karen's eyes flickered from one face to another, searching for support she no longer had. She was young and alone, and in a luxury store. And black, Dr. Thompson finished, ice in her tone. "Just say it." You called the police because she was shopping while black. No. No, that's not what I meant. I would never. Karen was gasping now, every word only digging her hole deeper. Michelle's voice sliced through her excuses like a scalpel. Officer Johnson, she said, not even looking at Karen anymore, I want the security footage from my store. Now. Johnson, already rattled, nodded quickly. Yes ma'am, right away. I swear, I didn't realize who. You didn't realize because you didn't bother to find out, Judge Marcus cut in. You took the word of a biased employee over a minor without a single step of proper investigation. Inside the store, Ashley Rodriguez led them to the security room. Her hands trembled as she accessed the footage from the past few hours. Everyone gathered around, Michelle, Judge Marcus, Dr. Thompson, Officer Johnson, and a growing number of spectators. Karen stood in the corner, paling by the second. She knew what was coming. The playback began. There was Madison, entering the store, beaming with excitement. Her posture respectful, her smile hopeful. She approached the counter, where Karen barely acknowledged her. No greeting. No assistance. Just cold indifference. Then came the scenes of Madison delicately browsing dresses, inspecting tags, treating the merchandise with the utmost care. There, Dr. Thompson said, pointing at the screen. She's being more respectful with those items than half the adults I've seen in here. The footage continued. Karen shadowing her like a private investigator, clearly making her uncomfortable. Then came the pivotal moment, Madison presenting the money. You could see Karen's face flicker from surprise to open hostility. Not concern. Not confusion. Anger. That's it, Ashley said, wiping her eyes. That's when Karen saw she had the money. That wasn't a relief to her, it was a threat. The next clips were even more damning. Madison stood still, adjusting her jacket after getting warm. No theft. No attempt to hide anything. Just a child shopping until the lie was invented. Judge Marcus continued taking notes. Officer, what you're looking at is conclusive proof that this was a false report. Madison did nothing wrong. Karen made one last, desperate effort. Well, you can't see everything on camera. She might have hidden something when the camera wasn't looking. Michelle turned to her slowly, with a stare that could curdle blood. So now my 14-year-old daughter is some sort of master thief, capable of stealing items invisible to your own surveillance system. That's your story. That's when Ashley Rodriguez found her voice and her courage. She stayed silent too long, complicit in Karen's discrimination through inaction. But watching this family's pain unfold had ignited something in her, a fire that could no longer be ignored. Mrs. Taylor, Ashley said, stepping forward, her voice trembling but resolute. I need to tell you everything I saw today. And I need to apologize for not speaking up sooner. She pulled out her phone, unlocking the video she had recorded. I captured part of what happened because I knew it was wrong. But I was scared I'd lose my job. I watched Karen treat your daughter completely differently than she treated white customers. I watched her follow Madison around like she was a thief. I watched her refuse to believe that Madison had her own money to make a purchase. The footage was more damning than anything the security cameras had captured because it included sound. Karen's condescending tone. Her smug comments about Madison not belonging. The dismissive, almost disgusted way she responded when Madison politely explained she was shopping with saved-up money. It was all there. In full color. In crystal clear audio. Michelle stepped toward Karen slowly, the sound of her heels tapping like a countdown to judgment. Karen instinctively backed away until her shoulders pressed against the wall. There was nowhere left to go. Karen Stevens, Michelle said, voice low, so low that everyone had to strain to hear it. You shattered my daughter's innocence today. You took a child who trusted the world and showed her that some people will hate her for the color of her skin. You humiliated and traumatized a young girl who just wanted to buy her mom a birthday gift. Karen was crying now, mascara running in dark, ugly streaks. Mrs. Taylor, please, I'm sorry, she pleaded. I made a mistake. I can learn. I can change. You're sorry. Michelle's voice rose just enough for the fury to be heard. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry your victim turned out to be connected to someone powerful. But you're not sorry for what you did to my child. Judge Marcus stepped forward, his voice calm, but edged with steel. Miss Stevens, what you did today amounts to filing a false police report. That is a criminal offense. You could be formally charged. Officer Johnson, realizing his own job and reputation were hanging by a thread, tried to step in. Ma'am, Mrs. Taylor, I want to sincerely apologize for my part in this. I should be investigated more thoroughly before making an arrest. Michelle turned her full attention to him now, her gaze sharp enough to cut. You put handcuffs on my 14-year-old daughter, she said slowly, based solely on the word of a woman clearly acting on racial bias. You didn't check the footage. You didn't ask for proof. You didn't even consider that a child with $450 in cash might just be shopping like any other teenager. Dr. Angela Thompson looked up from Madison's side. Michelle, we need to take Madison to the hospital for a full trauma evaluation. Her blood pressure is elevated. She's experiencing acute stress. She needs immediate psychological support. But Michelle wasn't finished, not yet. She turned to face the room. Karen. Officer Johnson. The gathered onlookers. The news cameras. Everyone watching justice unfold. Karen Stevens, Michelle said firmly, you are terminated immediately. You are banned from every Prestige Fashion Group property. Security will escort you out. And I will personally make sure you never work in retail again. Karen collapsed into a chair, her world collapsing around her. Her job gone. Her future ruined. Her reputation shattered. All because she refused to see past her own prejudice. Michelle scanned the room, faces of shock, of empathy, of realization. What happened here today is horrifying, she said. But it's not uncommon. Discrimination like this happens every day to people who don't have the platform, the privilege, or the resources to fight back. That ends today. She pulled out her phone and called Patricia, her head of corporate communications. Patricia, I want an immediate press release. Effective now, Prestige Fashion Group is implementing mandatory anti-bias training for every employee. We're instituting a customer equality policy with zero tolerance for discrimination. And I'm establishing a 10 million scholarship fund for young people who've faced injustice just like Madison. There was a ripple of murmured approval from the crowd. Michelle wasn't just responding, she was leading. She was using her voice to reshape the industry. But the most powerful moment came next. Michelle walked to where Madison sat beside Dr. Thompson and knelt at her daughter's side. Baby girl, she said, her voice finally cracking with emotion, I am so sorry I wasn't there when you needed me. I'm sorry this happened. I'm sorry that people are going to judge you before they know you. She paused, tears falling freely now. But what happened today that says nothing about you? It says everything about the ignorance in them. Madison looked up, her eyes older now etched with pain, but also with strength. "Mommy," she whispered, "I just wanted to buy you something beautiful. For your birthday. I saved for months." Michelle wrapped her in a tight hug, tears falling into her daughter's hair. "I know, sweetheart. And we are going to buy that dress. And a few more. Because you deserve to shop anywhere without fear." Dr. Thompson nodded. "She's physically okay. But she'll need counseling." This was emotional abuse, no question. "Already arranged," Michelle replied. "Dr. Sarah Williams is meeting us at the hospital." But before they left, Michelle surprised everyone. "Madison," she said softly, "I want us to go back into that store. Together. I want you to pick out that dress. And I want Ashley to help us properly this time." Judge Marcus looked concerned. "Michelle, are you sure that she's been through so much?" "Uncle Marcus," Madison said, finding her voice, "this is important. I don't want that woman to win. I'm not going to be afraid to shop anymore." So they returned, this time with Ashley Rodriguez at the helm. Ashley welcomed them with open warmth and genuine respect. "Mrs. Taylor. Madison. Welcome to Bella's boutique," she said, voice steady. "I understand we're shopping for a very special birthday dress." Madison nodded, staying close to her mom but holding her head high. "Yes, ma'am. I want to find something that'll make her feel beautiful." Ashley's eyes filled with emotion. "Then let us find you the perfect one." They spent an hour browsing. Ashley offered sizes, colors, accessories. She treated them not as suspects but as valued guests. Madison found the emerald green dress she originally wanted. Michelle insisted they also buy 3 more. Not because Madison needed them, but because she deserved a joyful shopping experience. As Ashley carefully rang up the sale, she looked at Madison with a smile. "Your mom is lucky to have such a thoughtful daughter," she said. "That dress is going to look absolutely stunning on her." Michelle watched her daughter's confidence beginning to return. This was what shopping should feel like: joyful, safe, empowering. The story exploded across media platforms. By that evening, it was trending nationwide. Justice for Madison became a rallying cry. Michelle went on national television to announce sweeping reforms: mandatory bias training for all staff, diverse hiring practices, a public customer equality policy, and the launch of the Madison Taylor Foundation, a $10 million scholarship fund for children who face discrimination. 3 weeks later, Michelle celebrated her 40th birthday in that same emerald green dress. At an elegant party surrounded by friends, family, and colleagues, she took the mic. 3 weeks ago, she began, voice thick with emotion, my daughter faced one of the ugliest truths in our society. She was arrested for shopping while black. But what her accuser didn't realize was that this child, my child, is stronger than anyone imagined. She looked over at Madison, seated proudly at the head table. Madison, she said, her voice cracking, you didn't let cruelty turn you cruel. You didn't let hate steal your heart. You stood up with grace and truth and showed us all what it means to be powerful. Because of you, thousands of children will never have to face what you faced. She held up her glass. This dress isn't just beautiful, it's a symbol of a daughter's love, a mother's fight, and the power we all have to choose love over fear, justice over prejudice, and courage over silence. The room erupted into a standing ovation that lasted 5 full minutes. Madison stood and hugged her mother, their bond stronger than ever. 6 months later, Bella's boutique reopened with a new look and a new mission. Community leaders, civil rights advocates, and families came to witness its rebirth. Michelle and Madison cut the ribbon together, signaling a new era of dignity and equality. Karen Stevens never worked in retail again. Officer Johnson underwent full retraining and internal review. And Madison Taylor grew up knowing that her voice mattered, that silence could be broken, that injustice could be defeated. The emerald green dress became a symbol. A reminder that love is louder than hate, and that the courage of one girl backed by a mother's unwavering strength could change the world. Because of Michelle and Madison Taylor, thousands of children now have that chance. Every child deserves to dream, to shop, to exist without fear.